just finished base camp, but I'm nervous to get started in regular classes.
So we do get this question quite often. People finish base camp, they do it one-on-one with a coach. The coach learns, how they can move, how to adjust their movement so that they can move optimally with where they're at, whether it's mobility related, fitness related, strength related. You get that one-on-one coaching so that you can proceed into regular classes. Now, regular classes may or may not be for everyone. You can definitely continue with personal training options to keep going with that one coach so that you can get direct feedback until you're a bit more comfortable with all the movements. The other option is when you do jump into classes, you're still learning. You're still gonna learn from the coach. You're still gonna learn from other athletes in there as well. You get to see how other people move. And we do have different people of all ages, sizes, shapes, abilities in classes. Everyone had to start somewhere. Some of the people that I've talked to more recently about, say, starting out in classes, I had asked them, why they were nervous about it. And they just said it was something new, it was something different. I asked how we could make that better for people, how we could make them a bit more confident going into classes. And everyone that I've talked to has said, it's nothing that we're doing, it's about them, and they just need to jump in and do it. And once they did, they felt way better about it. So they were building it up and saying like, I can't do all this stuff. All these other people are so much better than me. And that's not the truth. Everyone starts somewhere, everyone has to start somewhere. Some might pick things up a little quicker than others, some might not. But the idea is, start before you're ready. That's something I recommend to do, and really just, have fun with the process. Don't stress out if you're not perfect at something right off the bat. It does take time and repetition to get good at stuff. If it's worth getting good at, if you're enjoying it, then it's worth kind of failing at for a while as well. So there are going to be good days and there are going to be bad days. My general recommendation is just jump in and do the best you can with where you're at each and every day.
I got injured at work. Should I still train?
All right, so sometimes we have people that do come in that are injured. Something happened at work, they slipped outside and fell, but they still want to train. There's no reason why people can't train unless they're in a body cast. There's always things that we can get them doing as coaches, modifying the exercises, modifying the workout so that it is doable for individuals that do have injuries. If they can't go overhead, for example, if any of the exercises in that day's workout have any overhead movements, we can generally change it to something that might be like front rack position, changing like a thruster to just a front squat, which might work for someone, switching a barbell option to a kettlebell, but there's always ways around it. I had a buddy of mine who had a broken leg and a cast and he couldn't do anything with that leg. We ended up getting him doing workouts, seated sled pulls. I had him on the bike with one leg and both arms on the air bike. On the rower, we used one leg on the rower and his arms. There was a lot of different options and upper body exercises we were able to get him to do and kind of get past what had fallen off the fence and breaking his leg. But there's a lot of different options that we can do as coaches, and a lot of our coaches here do spend time working on that with me so that we can get through that, so that we can provide training services to members who are injured and can't do everything exactly as programmed on the board.
Not bad. Man, I wonder how much I'm supposed to lift.
So when an athlete starts off, we want to start off lighter. Make sure they're moving well. Make sure they're looking good. Make sure they're feeling good with the movement and the loading. If something's looking good, we can start adding weight to it. We want them to be challenged, but we don't want it to be too excessive of a challenge. So if they're breaking form, something's got to change. They got to start, focusing a little bit more. We might give them cues on how to move better, or we might just need to take off weight. They might not be there yet, but it is a little bit of trial and error, calculated trial and error, but you definitely want to be challenging yourself enough. So if you're always doing the same weight, you're not going to get any gains from that. If you are, adding weight incrementally, challenging yourself appropriately, you are going to make strength gains. When it comes to weightlifting, like Olympic weightlifting, technique has to be sound. If you can move a barbell really well, awesome. Add weight to it. If you start adding weight and then we start taking steps backwards and you're doing odd things to get the weight overhead, that's not what we want. So we would play around with that, find the right and appropriate weight, give you the right cues, and maybe modifications or accessory exercises to help strengthen you in the areas that you need.
So I'm thinking regionals maybe this year, and then like year after that, like CrossFit Games. How do I get there, coach?
All right, so we do have some people that come in and they say they want to go to the CrossFit Games or they want to go to regionals, but they've never done CrossFit before, or Olympic weightlifting, or any type of gymnastics. That's going to make it very challenging if they want to do it within a year. As time goes on, it is going to be tougher and tougher because the field of athletes is going to get that much deeper. The challenges are going to get more extreme. So weights that athletes are lifting are heavier. The gymnastics movements are going to be more technical. So if you're someone who's just starting out who does not have any type of athletic ability or background that is going to support the movements that you're doing in CrossFit, it could take years to get, to that level. If you've never done a barbell snatch before and you're just learning in class, the top level athletes at the CrossFit Games are hitting like 315 pound snatches or so. So you've got a long way to go. And it's not just being able to get the weight up, it's being able to do it safely and consistently. So it does take a hell of a lot of time to put in that amount of effort, that amount of work, that amount of training, that amount of recovery, that amount of nutrition to be able to support the goal of getting to that level. Doesn't mean that someone can't get there. If they have the time and the effort and the energy and the drive and the determination and the patience, there's no reason why they can't get there. But everything has to fall in line and they have to be honest with themselves about where they are currently, what the goal is, and then be realistic about how much time it's going to take them to get there.
There's so much space in here, and where are all the machines?
A lot of times people they come in for a tour, I show them around, I show them the gym space, the turfed area, our bumper plates, kettlebells, dumbbells, rings, rig, all that kind of stuff, our yoga space, our therapy studio, and then people ask, where are all the machines? We don't really have any other than rowers. Everything that we do in here, you have to pay attention to how you move. For me, floor space is the most valuable thing that we can have here. We can get athletes doing so much more with floor space and dumbbells and barbells and kettlebells, sprinting, all kinds of different drills, gymnastics work. We can't do that when a gym is full of machines that maybe are worth $4,000 and they only do one thing. I'm thinking of like a leg extension machine right off the top of my head. There's a lot of gyms that they just pack a ton of equipment in there, but it doesn't give athletes any space to really move around or explore what their bodies are capable of in training. If all you're going to do is sit on a machine and go through select ranges of motion depending on what the machine lets you do with the levers and cams and all that kind of stuff, versus learning how to pick things up and move properly and lift and bend and twist properly, you're very limited when you sit on a machine. So in here, we have more floor space more than anything, and all the equipment here you're gonna find is pretty basic. The main thing that we're arming athletes with is the knowledge to be able to move better and train smarter, and do more with their bodies. A machine will not let you do a Turkish get-up. A machine is typically not gonna allow you to do a squat properly, which is something that all athletes need to do.
Why should I come to Starke instead of going to another gym? What's the difference?
So sometimes people come in and they check the gym out and they've been to other places, not always CrossFit gyms, but they're checking out different places, and they ask, how does Starke compare to these other gyms? My response to that is, I don't know exactly what the other gyms do. So I don't participate in their classes. I don't know what the class structure is like. I don't know if it's basically a cheerleader-led class or if it's an actual coach who is invested in helping you to get better. But I do know what we do here. I know that all of our coaches go through at least 100 hours of shadowing before they become coaches. They all have their CrossFit Level 1 cert. They've all spent time as athletes here for a good number of years before becoming a coach. This way they know what the expectation is from me as a business owner. They know what's expected from other members because they've been through it and they've done it, and they know how to modify accordingly because they've probably needed some modifications here or there along the way, and they've also spent time with our community. So they know what our athletes are like, they know what they can get them to do, they know how they can modify for them if they're not having a great day, or if they're tired, or if they're run down and an athlete walks in the door and they're not feeling great. Our coach is going to know not to push them, to their limits that day. Maybe ask them what's going on and help them out. Ideally, we want every athlete to move as well as possible. We want them to get as fit and as strong as possible, and we want them to learn something every time that they come into a class here. So anytime someone's participating, even if you walk away with some little thing that's going to make your technique better, that's going to make your fitness better, we want you to be able to take that with you and then just basically put it in that experience jar. So the more you come and train, the more experienced you become, and the better you become at life, CrossFit, training, moving, all that kind of stuff. We just want people to get better. Every time they come in, that's the goal. That's what our coaches want, that's what I want, and that's what all of our athletes want.